Here we go. Okay. Again, I'm Gene Ernst. I'm the branch manager of Orphan Grain Train located in Jonesville, Indiana, which is south of Columbus, about 16.5 miles from where I live. Glad to be up here. I've got some newsletters from our recent one, May. I don't know if any of you are on the mailing list. So if you want to pass that around, if you'd like to get on the email list, I'll send a pen along, and you can sign in if you want to, and I'd be glad to take that along. And you know, if you want a free pen, help yourself, because can't have enough of those. And we'll just send those around with it then too. And some of those, that's the national headquarters one. Orphan Grain Train has been in existence since 1992. It started out in Norfolk, Nebraska. Anybody know where Nebraska is? How about Norfolk? Okay, some of you know where Norfolk is. But it started out there with Pastor Wilkie. And in 1998, there was a branch that opened up in Seymour, Indiana, by George Bobb. And after he passed away, it moved out to a farm. Gene Wint had that. And he asked if I would consider taking over the branch managership in 2014. And I said yes eventually. And in 2015, we opened up our new branch off-site from the farm in Jonesville, where it's at right now. If you have any questions during the time, please, speak up. I'll go through this. Well, let's see, got to go the right direction here. Okay, down the street and around the world. It's also about ministry, not only locally, it's not only nationally. We ship around the world. And Orphan Grain Train, if you go to their website, ogt.org, which is pretty straightforward, ogt.org, you can see their latest summary of what they have sent. It's amazing what has gone through as international loads and domestic loads. So it is around the world. If you've ever been out into the Nebraska area, you may have seen this cross. And whoops, we're going a little too fast here. 1992 this is dated, of course. We are in 2024, in case you were wondering. But it's Orphan Grain Train. That's one of their trucks from the international headquarters out in Norfolk. We don't have one of those. Now, if only some of this stuff could talk, it would have stories. This load was sent to Latvia, and that came out of our headquarters down in Jonesville, and that is a lot of Love the Hungry. Does that ring a bell? Feed My Starving Children, Kids Against Hunger. It's that kind of thing. It's little packets of food. Because years ago, and I am probably getting ahead of myself here, Pastor Wilkie had gone on a mission trip to Latvia. He had seen, this was just after the USSR had broken up, and these countries, these Baltic countries, were left kind of hanging, and they didn't have anything. And he went over there and visited the orphanages and saw the dire conditions these kids were in. When he came back, he said, I think there's a way that we could probably go across the country with a train, picking up grain, and then sending it over there to be milled and worked into flour and whatever was needed. That worked for a couple of times before the governments got involved and said, nah, you can't really do that anymore. So then we switched to these kinds of packets. Each packet serves 6 to 8 people. Mix it with water, hot water, and you've got a meal for people. The chair, again, it's part of our ministry. Not every branch has what we have down there, but we provide things, household, housewares, clothes for people who have need when they come in. And if that chair could talk, it'd probably say, I'm sitting in somebody's home now. And they would probably say, you know, the chair would say they didn't have much of anything, but now at least they have a chair to sit in. And that's part of what we're doing. It's really a story about loving and caring and helping others. That's the ministry of Orphan Grain Train. Again, I just kind of went through that. It was founded in 1992 by Pastor Wilkie. There are 29 branches across the United States, from Connecticut, where we have one, to California, and places in between. Indiana only has one branch. Iowa has 2 branches. Nebraska has 4 or 5. I'm not real sure. And Texas has got 2 now. Nevada's got 1. They're spread out. Colorado's got a couple. Or Charity Navigator. Anybody ever check out Charity Navigator? I've heard of it. If you have some time and you want to hit the internet once, go check out Charity Navigator. We are ranked on Charity Navigator as one of the top non-profit humanitarian relief organizations. 98.5% of the funds that we receive are used directly to support the ministry. There's only a penny and a half that goes to administrative costs, and that's all out in Norfolk, Nebraska. And I don't resent that a bit, because they line up all these international over the seas programs. If I had to go through and do all the customs and that kind of thing, it'd drive me crazy. I probably wouldn't be here. I'd be somewhere else doing nothing. But they do a lot of work for their penny and a half.
Is there an executive director of the whole thing?
Yes, Grant Schmidt.
And he's out there?
He's out there, yeah. And there are I don't know, 7 or 8 people involved in the office out there. Where'd we go here? I'm hitting things. Anyway, that's Charity Navigator. We're a 4-star charity. We're one of, like I said, one of the highest ones. Let's see. Where'd it go? Where'd my red light go? Maybe. All right.
Top thing with a little red line.
Little red line. Just don't hit anything else. That right there is the main office building out there. That's a big grain elevator that used to be the site of a grain elevator, and Orphan Grain Train was given this area, and so they don't use it. Everybody thinks, oh, you really still collect grain? No, we don't. But it's just sitting there. And this is part of their little old building. If you go to their website, you're going to see that Orphan Grain Train is now consolidated a lot of their 4 or 5 outbuildings into one major place under one roof on one level. And I can really appreciate that, because you're going to see that after a bit in our own thing here. But they have just completed that, and they plan on having the big open house dedication in September, which is a board meeting that I have to go to. What happened at Jonesville, it started here with tearing down part of an old building, and then we started building this. We had some Amish builders come in and put up a 40 by 60 foot structure. If you see way back there, that's part of the existing. It used to be the Southern Indiana cabinet factory. And it had been sitting empty for many years, and we had an opportunity to buy it. And it just happens to be between Seymour and Columbus, which, if you know anything about that part of the country, it's loaded with Lutherans. And it was just a perfect setting for us to be involved in, because as a Lutheran organization, we get a lot of support that way. The loading dock. That was added as kind of an afterthought to the whole thing, knowing that we needed one, but thinking, do we have the money to do it? And the money came in, and we said, let's put a loading dock in. So now we can load 2 semis out. We usually have 1 semi-trailer sitting in there. A week ago, the 17th of this month, we just loaded up a 40-foot container and sent it over to Latvia. And we've sent a number of them out of there, which is nice. We've got a forklift that we can drive right into the semi, drop it down, and then it's hand packed off of the skids to get it as much in there as we possibly can. But when you come into the reception area, the first thing you do when you come in the door is see a picture of our boss. And that's something that I'm able to do and talk about because I'm not at Cummins or Toyota, and I don't want to disrespect them, but I can't go over there and talk about Jesus. So when they come over and volunteer their time, I want them to see who we're serving and what we're all about as a Christian organization, as a Lutheran-based Christian organization. The Orphan grain train, I talked a little bit about that. The USSR, when it broke down, it was to serve orphans with grain being brought over by a train to a ship and then sent over. You know what an orphan is? One who is deprived of some protection or advantage. And Jesus said, and this was Pastor Wilkie's verse that why he came up with the name Orphan Grain Train. I will not leave you as orphans, I will come to you. And that's a verse out of John. Now, Jesus wasn't necessarily talking about orphans as people, as youngsters who have lost their parents, but all of us who have lost our way, who are disadvantaged, who have lost protection of our souls. And so, as orphans, Jesus comes to us and gives us a family. The grain, pretty self-explanatory, comes from the fertile fields of the Midwest and elsewhere, and then it's transported by train. We still use trains. The last load that left for Latvia was hauled down to the rail yard in Cincinnati. It was put on a train that would go out to the port in New York, and then it was put on a ship, and it's somewhere in the Atlantic, we hope, at this point. It takes about 6 weeks to get it over there. But it's about loving others as Jesus has first loved us. Talked about that this morning in the sermon. It's about caring for people, about feeding people, about meeting their needs, and also about helping others, providing household goods, just support. We've had countless number of women that have come out of abuse situations. There's a place called Turning Point in Columbus. They go in there, and after a period of time, they're able to come out, and most of the time they don't have anything, and they get a referral and they come down to us. And if we've got it, we give it to them and help them load up their trailer or their truck or whatever to get them established again. It's giving them a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up so that they can get back on their feet and get going again, so that they can get off of welfare or whatever needs they're on to get going on their own. That's my wife wearing her pedal pusher shirt, which we go out and we do that in Pasadena, California. We're going out there again in December. But on the right there, this is in the new part of the building. We separate all the clothes, and it goes men's, women's, and children, and it gets sized and sexed and sorted, and if it's got tears or rips in it, it goes under the table, and then it gets sent up to Indianapolis to an agency up there that they ship it somewhere. Sometimes they make rags out of it, sometimes it goes to other places. But everything that comes in is taken care of. People ask, do you wash it all? We say no. Most of the stuff that's coming in is clean already. Sometimes it isn't, And if it's full of, you open the bag and it's like, whew, that one goes right under the table because we just don't have the capacity to wash everything. If it's a small piece that's in good shape, but it's dirty or something, we can wash that. We've got a washer and a dryer. But it gets shipped around the world. A 40-foot container or a 53-foot semi-trailer. We try to stack them full so that we don't like to ship air. Air is expensive, and it's expensive enough to send these things, but we try to pack them as full as we can. This, I mentioned going down to eastern Kentucky. Myra, Kentucky has a place called Manna from Heaven, and it's an outreach, a Christian-based outreach to the community. And they serve as a food pantry and also for anything else. December, and this was early on, this must have been like 17 or 18, we took a load of these bicycles that we had gotten and repaired. We took a load of these bicycles in an 18-foot trailer, and we're unloading them in December, the first part of December. And as we were unloading them, a couple of these men were off to the side, and they were wiping away tears. And finally I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Nothing's wrong." He says, "We didn't think we were going to be able to give our kids anything for Christmas, and now we're going to give them a bike." Something as simple as that. It just, and we can talk about God's love and God's provision, even in bicycles, and it's important. But that's a place called Manna from Heaven. If you notice the condition of that building, that looks like a really good shot of it because it's falling apart. It is in desperate need, and there's a church in Cincinnati that works closely with them, helping them to try to get things organized. In the Seymour, Columbus, North Vernon, Edinburgh area, we work with 60-plus agencies that send us people with referrals. They have to have a referral from a social agency or a church stating that they have needs so that we don't have to go through and say, well, show us your income, show us your rights, show us your, all this. They've been vetted. And so they come in, they give us the referral, and then there was a cardinal. Wrong thing to do. All day long. And we don't just work in Bartholomew County. We work in 6 or 7 county area, and we've served folks north of Indianapolis, which is about 70 miles. So it does spread out. What can you do? Well, there's 4 things actually. You can pray. That's often one of the most overlooked things. People go, well, what should I pray about? Just pray for God's blessings upon the old volunteers that come in down there. I'm going to be 78. I'm one of the young guys. We've got some people that we just need strength and help as we continue on. Volunteering, and I understand we're 186 miles from Jonesville, probably from here. It's not just a day trip. If you wanted to come down, you could come down the night before, stay at Camp Lakeview during the off season, and then come over and work a day and go back and spend a night and then drive up the next day. It's not for working folks, but it is an opportunity. LWML, is there an active LWML here? No? Okay. They've been very active when we've gone to ask for grants from their convention. They supplied us with some money, about $10,000 to purchase that pickup and the topper, and then they helped us buy that 2 18-foot trailers, which has been good. Volunteers, they're always welcome. Here we were just getting started, and they were planting trees. This is a group that works on our tables there, and they take these bags of clothes and they sort them out, and they put them in men's, women's, and children's, like I said, and they size them and everything. So it's an ongoing thing. Comes in a lot of different styles. I've got grandkids that have come down there since they've been probably 8, 9 years old, and now they're graduating this year. So they've been there for a while. Excuse me. And you know, even the young ones, when mom is standing or dad is standing there folding these things and says, go find basket or barrel 301. You know, they're out there looking for 301. They put it in there, and then they come back for the next load. Little kids can do that kind of stuff. And so it involves them, helping them to understand that they too can be the hands of Jesus helping others. Not only praying and volunteering, but donating some of the things you don't really need. Collecting the undies for Sunday. A wonderful, wonderful thing, because it's important for people to have clean, good, clean underwear. And that's just not one of the things that people, you know, it doesn't come to the top of your mind, but they need it. Women's and men's and children's. Okay, those are some of the most requested items. We do take mattresses. People go, oh, you take mattresses? Oh, what about bed bugs? I said, well, when we go to do these pickups, we kind of assess the situation carefully, and you can tell if this is a home that you want to take a mattress from or not, and generally they are. People are aware of that. We're very conscientious about that problem, and you know, bed bugs have been on the rise. I don't know why, but they've been. So the other thing that you can do is donate. Donate your finances, but most of all, please keep praying. So you know where it is, and you know what we look like a little bit. It's not a new idea, as I said in the sermon this morning. It's a story that has been around since time began, caring for others. It was the man going down, the priest and the Levite who passed by, but the Samaritan who stopped and gave help. The one who had mercy, and Jesus said, go and do likewise. Remember, it's the aorist form in the Greek. Keep on going, keep on doing. It's not just a one-time and done type thing. But that's where we're at, and that's what we do, and that's the end of that one. Are there any questions? Yeah.
You reference action team things from Thrive. Is that something we could do here for your organization or something?
Yes.
Give us an example.
Yes. We've had the Thrive in action cards that can be used and designated when you send in a request and say, I'd like to have this sent to, I'm going to send this to Orphan Grain Train for school kits. We're always buying things for school kits and backpacks. That's a huge ministry. We started off with switching over our fluorescents to LEDs. And so we started using action cards for that. And it wasn't long after that I was doing my granddaughter's wedding. And her father-in-law said, how many lights do you need? And I told him, and I said, you know, there's 8-footers and 4-footers. He said, why don't you send me how many bulbs you need? And I said, really? I said, that's a lot. I'm not going to kid you. It's a lot. And he said, no. He says, I work for this company called LED Vance. And he said, I think they would be more than happy to donate them. I said, well, I'll send you the number and you can tell me. And I sent the number down there, and their company sent us. I said, I'll go down to Lexington and pick them up with the trailer. And he says, no, we'll ship them right to you. So we've got everything switched over now to LED. But we started off with the Thrive-In card. But the school packs are big. Healthcare.
When you say Thrive-In card, you're saying
The action card.
so you actually get a debit
Right, and just, you know, when you mail it down, say, this is for school kids, or whatever you need at this point. But you have to be kind of specific when you apply for them.
Before, and we understand that, so
Yeah.
I was always looking for more detail.
Yeah, and if you need any help on that, talk to a Thrivent rep or somebody who can give you some direction on that. Yeah.
Big items like a mattress, how do we get it from here to there?
Pastor was just talking about that, trying to get a couple of churches involved together and maybe getting a truck or something to drive down there.
So
Yeah.
I can kind of help with that. So in Tucson last summer, we had probably a 6-month campaign for Orphan Grain Train, and they got basically pods, the equivalent to a pod. We got like 6 of them. Took up a good quarter of our entire parking lot, and we filled every one to the brim. So, and then the person that was in charge dealt with I guess it was probably Texas would have been the closest to us, so we could probably do that here.
And
Yeah.
There are some other churches in the area who have expressed interest in wanting to partner,
Yeah.
because we're all trying to get stuff down there, so if we did identify a company like Pods or someone who might even be willing to
To
donate
donate the space.
the space and the transfer of it, then that would be a good thing to partner with other churches on.
Rensselaer, I've been working with Arnold Brash for years, and he passed away, and I think it's his grandson now that has picked up that. But they've got a semi-trailer down there dedicated to Orphan Grain Train receipts from their community. And I've got to go up there, I think it's in September now, and we got to rent a truck because we don't have this 20-foot box truck anymore. It just got to be an extreme hassle owning a truck. The trailer and pickup are much more viable in our ministry. But we rent a truck from Enterprise, drive up to Rensselaer, load it up, take it back down. That's another option. It does involve 2 people for a whole day doing that, you know, being off site. But that's an option. But I like the pods idea a lot.
Being a drop-off site's great, we just have to keep if we were to do that for a stretch of time, we might have to have Jason keep the animals out of it.
Are you an animal control guy? Okay. I'm going to try one more thing here, just to give a little bit. I think I can. Yeah, this one. This just gives you a little bit of an idea. Have I got some time yet?
Yes,
10 minutes?
a little while, yeah.
Okay.
We normally go to 11:30 with Bible class, so.
I have no idea what time it is.
10:50.
Okay. The kids on the left were some of the recipients of a family that were receiving some of the stuff in Republic of Georgia. And that was the load that was sent over there. When you see banana boxes with Orphan Grain Train, that's usually us. Michigan sends apple boxes. Minnesota sends apple boxes. We send banana boxes because we've got an ongoing supplier in Walmart. And we used to go down and pick up these boxes from them, and I'd say, how many people in Seymour, I mean, there must be 1 billion bananas in this place. And they said, that's our biggest seller down there, bananas. Evidently, a lot of people eat bananas, and it's such a blessing because we get their boxes. They don't have to break them down, we get them, and we go through about 150 to 200 a week. So we're collecting boxes all the time. In fact, we have one semi-trailer dedicated to banana boxes, and fortunately right now it's full. So this is in, I think this is in Lithuania, where things were dropped off, and the kids are backpack There you go. With school supplies in it and a Bible. When we can send a Bible. There are countries that will not allow us to send any Christian materials or Bibles. We have to be very careful about that. And so we have to be careful in our packing. These have school kits with Bibles. These have school kits without Bibles. And governments are wonderful. Again, just another picture. They just put it out, and then people go through, and they, this is women's clothes, or that's men's clothes, and whatever. So, the backpacks and supplies, the school supplies, we take it for granted, but there are so many that need it. We send adult and children diapers. That's a big one. Again, there's a lot of people in homes, nursing homes, I think they're called nursing homes over there, or in their own homes, adults that need care, and children. Wheelchairs. We've sent a lot of wheelchairs. And when we got extra bikes, we put bikes in there. And they're always very happy to receive those kind of things. That's a school that's getting stuff. This was a load that was headed to Latvia. Somebody had mentioned, call Pete's Trenching of Seymour and see if he'd be willing. And I called him and I talked to Pete, and he said, that'd be great. I'll send up a whole crew. And that about a week later, we're getting ready to go, and all these trucks from Pete's Trenching pull into the yard. And I'm going, man, and we must have had 10. I said, well, that's about like 5 too many, but that's okay. We can spell you off. But it was a good hot day. So this was a different day, and they only sent 5 that day. Concordia Lutheran Church in Hammond closed. And they said, we've got pews, and we've got an altar, we've got a lectern, we've got a baptismal font. What do we do with it? And I said, let me check with Nebraska. Let me check with Chris out there. Do you have a place to go with this stuff? And she said, we just had a call from Lithuania about needing some of these things, and if you had any of these things. And I said, well, we do. And she said, go up and get it loaded up, and we'll get it sent over there. That's in Lithuania now. And it just amazes me, and it shouldn't, how God works and how God fills those needs on His time. There's a situation in Republic of Georgia. The housing, you can see but they got a hospital bed in there. And this one is in another home, probably diapers. We had these tables came out of it was called Ye Old Fish House down in Columbus. They were getting new tables, and so they said, do you guys want these? And so we went up and looked at them and said, yeah, we'll take them. And they needed to be refinished on the top. But we have a couple of guys in our group that love to do that kind of stuff. So they refinished them, and we sent them over there, and now they're getting put to the good use over there. And help and it just in different ways. She's getting a new coat. He's getting a new pair of shoes. He was wearing Crocs, but now he's getting a pair of shoes. This is from Manna from Heaven. And again, if you notice some of the condition of the building, over here too, it wasn't even cold that day. And I got out of the pickup, and it was probably 70 degrees. And I got out and I looked at her and I said, Lois, what's going on? Are you dying or what? She says, no, I'm just always cold. I thought, oh man, that's an insulated outfit. But he's got COPD bad. I mean, he's declining very rapidly. But this is a ministry that she is just so grateful. When the floods went through western Kentucky, in their building, they had 4 foot of water. destroyed most everything. They had their refrigerator and a freezer that were upside down in the floodwaters, lost everything. So we fortunately had access to 2 brand new freezers from a dealer in Columbus. We put those in, we filled it up with clothes and other stuff, and were able to send it down there. We went to Madisonville, Kentucky. They were kind of a spot for the December tornadoes that hit western Kentucky, and went to the church, a place called the House of I Am, which I thought was a really cool name. You know, I am who I am, God says. And this is the House of I Am. And we took this stuff down there, and this was the crew that received it, and this was the crew that loaded it. But when we got down there, we had 2 18-foot trailers packed. And as we were on the second one, and I kind of made the comment, I said, I can see the front of the trailer. And the pastor down there, the elder of the church, said, that's good because the church is getting full. And I said, I hope you can use this stuff. And he says, I've been checking off the stuff that's been going in, and everything that you brought down, there is a need for. I've had people that have called and said, if you get. And he says, I got. He said, we came down on a Thursday. He said, by Saturday evening, the church will be empty. And that's just how fast it went out. But again, that kind of thing takes time. After a tornado is not the time you take all this kind of stuff down there, because their homes some of their homes are destroyed, some of them are in need of a lot of repair. If we take it down, we just have to set it down there. And that's what happened in Katrina. There was a lot of an outpouring of generosity, and a lot of this stuff got taken down there. And I was told by a couple of our guys that when they took stuff down, stuff was being set outside in the rain and the damp and the everything, because they didn't have a place to go with it. You have to wait until people can say, we need people on the ground that go, hey, we're ready, bring it on down. And that's what happened with that group. So we knew that they were going to be getting it. That's the inside of our building, the table where people work, the barrels that are sitting there, and that's just some of the folks that gather. This is our young crew over here, and our office gals. Jerry Maley was one of the longtime guys that were there from the beginning of Orphan Grain Train. He passed away, and we took his memorial money and another longtime volunteer, and we started advertising on the Christian radio station in Columbus, just to let people know in the community of Orphan Grain Train. Because so many people come down and go, you know, we've never heard of you. It's like, I know we're one of the best kept secrets. We don't want to be, but we are. You know, we're trying to get the word out. So this has been a real blessing. That's one of my favorite shots. Use all the letters in the alphabet to make all the words that you can to lift it up in prayer. If you're thinking about it, why not pray about it? You know, and so you just all those things. If you can't see the whole thing there, but the daily prayers. That's what we covet, if coveting's allowed, and it is in this case. So, again, if you got a newsletter, great. This is Norfolk's letter, and this is ours. And if you would like, we send out 2 newsletters a year. We send one out in the spring and one in the fall. I'm not a big newsletter guy, but I figure if we send it out and people read it, that's great.
Any idea percentage-wise what goes overseas and what stays in the United States?
Percentage-wise, from our place,
50/50?
it's probably in that. We send domestic loads down to Texas, or out. We've sent things out to the Indian reservations in South Dakota. We've sent stuff out to Arizona to an Indian reservation. Most of it's going down to a place called Isleta on the border. Children's Cornerstone Ranch, it's on the border, to Del Rio on the border. And, you know, I call them and I say, can you use? And they said, absolutely. I said, what about yes? What about yes? I mean, she said, anything you've got up there, we'll take. I said, well, I got a lot of stuff, a lot of different things. But most of the clothes that's packed into banana boxes is going overseas. We do send a fair amount of clothes down south, but down to Kentucky, it's mostly furniture, durable goods kind of thing. We do take appliances, and we've got a good relationship with a thing called Appliance Mart. They have used washers, dryers, refrigerators, and stoves, and we will use some of those monies from action cards to sometimes buy something if we don't have it, and I know there's such a need. We'll go up and we'll buy something from them at a good reduced cost and give it to them that way. We don't like to have to buy things, but you know, if people are donating the monies, we can do that. This past year, and I have this on a different slide. The domestic and international shipments totaled about $30,200 out of Jonesville. Yeah. And that's all. It's all raised. That's all gifts. So we have a wonderful financial base, and a lot of people who are willing to, you know, say, well, we can't be there physically, but here. So the November newsletter has an opportunity. That's the only ask we make, is if you'd like to support this ministry, here's the address, or here's an envelope. If you get it by email, you don't get the envelope in the email. But when we send it out physically, there's an envelope in there, and that has provided wonderful things. Yeah.
I volunteered at a church that sorted women's underwear predominantly for years, and I was told when I was there that they had so many that they were going to quit collecting them. I don't remember the name of the organization. Does that sound like something that is shipped in large quantities to your office, or is that something you would want if that organization truly has more than they need?
We have to be kind of careful. I mean, right now I've got probably 30 banana boxes of underwear, and we have to, like I said, that cannot be shipped overseas. That has to stay in the United States. They've got, except for new stuff. So these may find their way across.
We sorted it into new with tags, you know, looks like new but no tags,
Yeah,
and then stuff, you know.
yeah. So
They didn't want any of it anymore. They said they just had so much that it cost too much to store it.
yeah, and that becomes the issue. Women's shoes, ladies, you don't wear out your shoes enough. You love to buy and you love to give, but we don't need women's shoes. You know? Men's shoes and children's shoes, yes, but women's shoes. I was able to send 20 boxes over to Latvia this last load. They wanted women's shoes. 20 boxes, okay. So my inventory of 90 boxes went down to 70, and within a week, there were like 16 or 17 boxes that were processed in the sorting area. So I just got rid of 20, and you give me 17 more, you know? Women's shoes, But ladies' purses, you know, that's another one. We get a lot of those, but they go. Men's clothes, we wear them out, especially jeans. So, yeah. So I don't know how to answer that question except to say probably not, because the storage becomes such an issue. And we are limited. When we moved over from the farm place that we were operating in, we had a little tiny building that was dark, didn't have air conditioning, didn't have any bathrooms, and it was dusty. And people worked, and a lot of things happened in there. And then we had 39 semi-trailers sitting around the farm full of stuff. Some of them didn't have doors on, and so those little four-legged critters called coons would come in and make their home, and then you'd finally get to it and go, eee, you have to throw that out because they'd done their duty on it. We moved over to this place where we are now. We're under one roof, one level, and we've got good storage. So we've got a forklift that Toyota donated to us. Toyota and Cummins has a deal where they give some of their people 8 hours and some of them 16 hours to donate. And so they'll come over on Cummins' time and work and donate their time to us. And that's where a lot of our help comes from. We have a lot of churches that come in. We've got regulars that come in all the time. So it's an active bunch down there. We're open Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. When I accepted the job, I said I retired. You know, I got grandkids to visit. I got places to go, and I'm not going to do this like the previous Gene went. He was alone. His wife had left him years before. He was dealing with that. He lived right on the site, and he was there 24 hours a day. And I said, I'll do it, but I'm not going to do any more than 4 days a week. I said, I'm going to go down to 3 days. He says, you can't do that. And I said, I'm not going to take this job otherwise. But we're all volunteers, so everybody steps up when they have to. And coming up here was just a joy, and I appreciate the opportunity. So, all right, can we close in a word of prayer? Heavenly Father, I thank you for the people who've gathered here today. I thank you that they were willing to listen and to ask questions and to maybe gain a little deeper understanding about what Orphan Grain Train is and what we're doing. And Lord, as you move among them, may their hearts be open to gathering and collecting and sharing of what they have for those that need. We ask your blessing upon all of us as we go forth in your name under your banner of your love and in your mercy. In Jesus we pray. Amen. Again, God bless you and thank you very much.